Welcome, welcome, my noble artist and talented troupe of theater trolls. This is your host, Dawn Westbrook, and let me say I have missed you. But the good news is, ACT is back. And while many things might have changed since season 1, a lot of things have remained the same. For instance, I'm sitting right here with my glass of wine. And for the next few minutes, I hope you'll join me with a glass of something, because we're going to be talking with some of the best in the business as we focus on the craft of acting, the art of directing, and just embracing the process of this crazy career in the theater and entertainment world. I've got some amazing interviews lined up for you in the coming weeks, and this week is no exception. But first, this season's podcasts are being brought to you by both the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund, whose commitment is to both local and national playwrights and holds the belief that the relevance and vitality of American theater depends on the continual infusion of new works, and Book Cliff Vineyards, whose wines are 100% crafted right here in the beautiful state of Colorado and are always something worth sharing.
Dear Predictable, I know this is sudden, but they say if you love something, set it free. See you around. Here's to you, the joy seekers, the celebration makers, the finders of one-of-a-kind gifts from Etsy. Powered by integrity. Powered by determination. Reebok. All too soon, there'll be ballet lessons and boys at the front door. But for now, the ways of the world can wait, while you can protect her, shelter her, Johnson's baby her. Ever wish work was less work? Basecamp makes it easy to see what needs doing, where to find things, and what's going on. So sexy, it'll make you want to cheat on your sofa. The Camilla Chaise. Make good choices.
Okay, so guys, who we have on this week, and who you just heard was the amazingly talented and very sweet Candace Joice, who I actually have only met in person one time. She was the reader for a callback that I went to for Boulder Ensemble Theatre Companies. I got callback for Enemy of the People and for Little Women. And I have to say, after many years of directing, I was really pulled in by her commitment and her honesty. It made my audition that much better. I did not get cast, but that was not because of her. Anyway, she was terrific. And I knew that she was someone that I wanted to meet in this new hometown of mine. And I immediately contacted her. And I was not the only actor that felt the way that I felt. And I know that a few people said that on Facebook. Did they not, Miss Candace? How are you?
Hello. Yes, people were very kind.
Yeah, it was really wonderful, and it's great. I know you're an actress and a director both, so you know what it feels like to be on one side of the table and the other side. But when you have someone that you're reading with that is committed to actually giving the actor a really good chance, a shot at getting the role, it's really nice than just reading with a quote unquote reader who's not really an actor and don't really know what it feels like. And you really, I thought, well, is she already cast? I didn't know who you were. And I thought, oh, well, maybe she's already cast, in Little Women. But you weren't, were you? You weren't cast in either show.
No, I wasn't.
No,
I wasn't available for any of them. And so I think it was like, oh, well, then you don't have skin in the game or anything. You can just be neutral and objective and helpful. And so it was nice to be able to offer that.
Well, yeah, you were absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad that you were available to do this act, the podcast, with me. And you were actually my first local person to do the show with me, which I'm very happy about. So thank you for coming. And now my first question for you is, and I know this is your night off, but what are you drinking, Miss Candace?
Oh, I selected for myself a pumpkin ale tonight because 'tis the season, even though it's terribly hot outside still. I love pumpkin ale time.
Very nice. Is there a certain brand do you like Breckenridge, or do you have a certain brand, local brand that you like, or is there a certain one that you're drinking tonight, or?
Yeah, I do. I used to be a huge fan of Fat Tire's pumpkin ale, but then they only are doing it as an IPA lately, and I can't do all that hoppiness. So when I stopped at the store, the only one that I could find, because it is kind of early, was Sam Adams, and I was like, well, that's fine. I'll just whatever's available, I'll do it.
We'll just have a Sam Adams. Now, yes, it isn't too early if you're Starbucks.
That's true.
Pumpkin spice everything, or if you're at Home Goods, pumpkin everything.
That
Right.
is so true. And I am not a fan of those things, but I love a pumpkin beer.
Well, one of the things I'm also really excited about too, being in this new location, is that I also have a new sponsor, and it's Book Cliff Vineyards. And I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are a vineyard here in the beautiful state of Colorado, and they have two tasting rooms, one in Palisade, Colorado, which is where their vineyard is. And then they also have one here right in Boulder on Lee Hill Road. And wine that I'm drinking tonight is and Candace can see this bottle. It's the 2022, really, really beautiful looking bottle here, but I'm going to have a sip for the first time. I actually just went and just picked this up. So I'm going to take a sip, and we're going to do a little ching. I do a little toast here. So here we go, a little ching with your pumpkin ale and my little ding. Okay, and I'm going to take a little sip, and you have a little sip, and I'm going to see what I think. We'll swirl a little bit. Oh man, it's got a nice smell to it, very fruity. Mm. Oh my. Okay, well, I do like that one. I liked last week's too. Last week was a Chardonnay, which Chardonnays are my favorite. But this is actually kind of dry and kind of sweet. And I actually taste, hang on a minute. I think I actually taste a little apple, green apple. Hang on. I'm not really a wine aficionado, but I really do like it. That is really, really good. It's not too acidic. It's very, very good. It's got a nice balance and a nice finish, which is kind of dry, which is when I always ask for a Chardonnay, I like it dry and a little oaky.
Yeah, me too.
You do really?
Yeah, and love a Riesling with a spicy foods.
Yeah,
They pair so nicely.
they really do. And so this would be really good. Gosh, I guess with really pretty much chicken, it would be really good with the chicken dish. But yeah, it's kind of medium, and it's a dry, medium white. And it's really good. It's not as dry as the Tectonic from last week, but it's really good and very well balanced. So Bookcliff, I think their little slogan is something worth sharing. So nice job, Bookcliff. And guys, go get yourself a bottle. If you're local, you can get it at any local liquor store, or it's sold in some of the restaurants, or you can go to www.bookcliffvineyards.com and get yourself some sent straight to your home. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to have another sip, and then we're going to get on with the interview. Yummy. Oh, I'd like that with some cheese. Cheese and crackers. I should have gotten myself some, but anyway.
Cheese and wine come on, anytime. Anytime.
Anytime. Now listen, so I love you. People can't see this, but I love your little backdrop. Now, we're going to find out too what they heard a little bit of you before we started. Candace is quite really good with audiobooks and voiceovers and stuff, but you've got a backdrop. Did you paint that, or is that a little backdrop of, it looks like a library?
Yeah, in my booth, hanging up behind me for when I have nice opportunities like this where I get to Zoom with someone. Sometimes it's a client or a producer, or maybe I'm taking a workshop. It's actually fabric. This is a rifle paper fabric that has lovely books all the way across it, and there's familiar titles like Anne of Green Gables and Treasure Island, and it's just very sweet.
Oh, that is very
fun
nice
to have up behind me.
It is, and you're quite the reader. I think you said you love to read, and you always have. You've been an avid reader for a long time.
It's true. It's true. So when I saw that it had all these nostalgic titles from my childhood, I was like, oh, that has to go up in my booth.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. Well, I do really like it. And I want to, I always tell people that we do like a little pre-chat before I do the actual interview, because I always want to know, like, if there's something specific that a guest has coming up, like maybe they have a book coming out, or maybe they have, like I know Charles Bush is coming on, wonderful Charles Bush from the Tale of the Allergist's Wife, and he's written a book, and he's going to be indoctrinated into the Theater Hall of Fame in November. So we're going to,
Wow.
yes, so we're going to bring him on at the very end of October. But I always like to find out if somebody's got something coming on, and I know that you are right now the assistant director for Denver Center of Performing Arts, DCPA. They've got Hamlet going on, and you were in rehearsals last night, not getting my messages, I don't think, right?
I kept checking. I kept checking during the breaks, and I don't know, the Wi-Fi was not wanting your messages to get through to me.
No, they weren't. They weren't. But how are rehearsals going? Are they going well?
So good, so good. The show is going to be such a treat to see. It is a feast for the eyes, on top of the fact that the actors are just fabulous and the direction is fabulous. It's stunning, and the design of it. It's set in late Viking age, so if you are a Game of Thrones person, you're just gonna love the energy of the show because it's got that kind of vibe.
That's great. They posted some pictures, I think, some costume pictures on Facebook. I saw those. I don't know who posted them, but they were great. And I thought, I didn't know that was the setting, but I thought that kind of looks a little bit like Game of Thrones, and the costume design looked great. I haven't seen the set, but who's playing Hamlet?
Hi, Fanning.
Okay. And is that a local person?
No, Ty and a number of the actors from the cast are from out of town. Many of them are from New York. There's at least one from LA. We do have local actors represented, doing fabulous work in the show.
Oh,
But Ty is based in New York.
that's fantastic. And you're assistant directing.
That's right.
And who is directing the show?
Chris Coleman, who is also the artistic director of the DCPA.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I have not met him. I know I did the general auditions. Again, didn't get cast in anything, but I did audition. And I don't think I've met him yet. I did meet Grady Soaps, and then the director of education.
Well, I think it's broken into departments. So there is Tim McCracken, who is the director of adult education there. And then this is embarrassing. I can't think of her. Allison Watrous.
Allison, I said Andrea. That's what threw you off. It's Allison. Don't be offended. Allison. I only met her that one time. Actually, no, I think she directed something for Boulder Ensemble Theatre. I think she directed What the Constitution Means to Me.
Yes, she did.
I met her the following week. She's a very tall lady, very statuesque, very beautiful, long brown hair. She kind of actually has similar features to you, brown hair, dark eyes, and she's very, very tall. And she was there with Grady when I did my audition. But yeah, it is broken up into a few different groupings, I think. And then they have like workshops too that they offer. It's really a great program that they have there at DCPA.
Yeah. The education program covers a lot of territory, lots of offerings.
Yeah. So if you're local and you're looking for a workshop or like a 3-weeker, or I know casting directors in town do some workshops there, and I know they do like fencing, and they do dancing. So yeah, Piper or Pan, I think she's doing one coming up, a dance, do your dance audition well, or something like that. She just did one. So she's got something coming up. She posted something yesterday, I think, on that. So if you're looking for workshops locally, check out DCPA. They've got some good ones. But we talked about in our pre-chat a couple of things. And one of the things that you mentioned was a term that I've never really used before, but you said you wanted to discuss about what it means to be, and I think I'm going to say this right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Multi-hyphenate artist, a multi-hyphenate artist. Can you explain what that is? And I'm going to have another sip of my wine.
Okay, yeah, you do that. Sure. I think that, to me, the idea of being a multi-hyphenate artist is that I see myself as being interested in and good at a number of different things when it comes to the world of storytelling. First and foremost, I really see myself as a storyteller. And I think that comes from the fact that ever since I was a child, I have really been hungry for story. I can't get enough story.
Right.
in any form, whether it's a book or a film or a play, but also, a painting or someone telling me about an incredible encounter they had while traveling. I just really love story, and I think that story unites us. So for me as a multi-hyphenate, I see myself as wanting to engage in the telling of stories in many different ways.
Okay.
And that is both because I am interested in them and also because I have learned at that to have a sustainable career where you can constantly be working, you need to be flexible, you need to be nimble, you need to be able to do more than one thing. It's a lesson that I wished I learned when I was much younger. But the joy of being a multi-hyphenate is that you could be someone like I know are actors who also make guitars for a living. In addition to being an actor, and then they're also a teaching artist, or I, I know people who do ceramics as well as doing scenic design,
Right.
so being multi-hyphenate can be whatever you want it to be that puts food on your table and also nourishes your artistic soul.
Right. I think that the things that you mentioned too about, making guitars, or there was something else that you mentioned, those were artistic things as well. And so I found that some of those things don't put food on the table, that you had to have, and you and I talked about having a desk job.
For a long time, and having that desk job often made it harder to be able to be available for all the other acting jobs that came along because I was tied to that seat.
Right. And so we also talked about that in New York. It's very hard. So I did temp work, right? So you get a temp job, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, shoot, I've got a callback, or I have to be there tomorrow at 3. And you go, well, now I can't do the temp job because I can't say, yes, I've got the temp job from 8 to 5 downtown, well, this was at the Twin Towers. When I was living in New York, it was downtown. I worked a lot at the Twin Towers. And then I've got to be midtown, or I've got to go be up on the Upper West Side. I can't do that. So now I've got to give up that, $15 an hour. At that point is $15 an hour to do that, and then go. So you have to. And Brad Greenquist, who was in season 1, he's made a living. He went to VCU, and he was in Pet Sematary, and he's done Star Trek, and he's done all these other movies and things. And he just said he would just go, can't work. I'm here in New York, and I'm here in LA to go to these auditions, and I'm not going to take a desk job. So he just said, nope, not going to do it. I always was one that I wanted to be able to put food on the table. So I always had a job and did temp work. And sometimes I would say, no, I can't go do this audition. I've got to go, I needed to be able to pay the rent. There was nobody that was helping me. So I needed to go do that. So sometimes it's not necessarily an artistic job that's going to put that food on the table. You're lucky if it is. But to feed that, you have to, in Richmond, right? A lot of people had day jobs in Richmond, Virginia, where I'm from, day jobs. And then you would rehearse at night. And sometimes people had children and they had day jobs, and then they had to go to the theater at night to rehearse. And sometimes they were in rehearsals while doing shows, right? You'd rehearse on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then you were doing shows Wednesday through Sunday. And I don't know how they balanced all of that. I really don't. When I was in Richmond doing this full time, I didn't have a child. So I was like you. We have quite a few years. I'm just you're young. You're in your 20s, right? Late 20s?
No, not even close.
Okay,
no, I'm much older than you think I am.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, I was in my late 20s when I went to New York, and then I came back in my early 30s back to Richmond, and I was working all the time. And I didn't get married married the second time, and I had a kid until I was in my 40s, right? So yeah, I had
the Denver market is very similar in that many of the theaters here, many of them rehearse at night. And so the actors, and I think in part that is because not only the actors, but often some of the staff at those theaters are working other things during the day. And for instance, this job that I have now at the Denver Center, would not have been able to take if I was still in that world, because it is a LORT theater.
Right.
And we're rehearsing during the day.
Right, exactly.
So very grateful for how being a multi-hyphenate has opened up more opportunity.
Multi-hyphenate is good. And I know I moved here. Now, when I was working in Richmond, when I finally settled there, I'm a member of Screen Actors Guild, and I'm a member of Equity. And I moved here, and I've been trying to see as many theaters and shows as I can, Candace, and meet as many people as I can. And when I meet somebody, I'd be like, can you go get a cup of coffee and tell me what you think, about what's going on here, and tell me about, the theaters and what theater companies and who hires Equity, and, what theater audition should I go to, and blah, blah, blah. You really try to get as many 360 perspectives as I possibly can. And I was lucky in Richmond, I could get like guest artist contract. We had Virginia Museum, which was a LORT house. And then we had mostly the theaters would work on guest artist contract. And then I got here, and a lot of people I know had their Equity cards and gave them up. That's what people told me. I don't know if you have found that to be the case.
Yeah. Oh, I've certainly met plenty of people who came here from bigger markets like LA or Chicago or New York, certainly, who did end up giving up their card. There are more contracts in this town that I think people realize, but still not enough.
Right. So now I need another sip of wine.
Yeah.
I worked really hard for that Equity card, and I ain't giving it up. If that means I'm not going to work, I'm not giving it up. I worked too hard, and I'm 61. I just go ahead and say my age. I don't give a crap. I age myself from 50 to 60, somewhere in there. And sometimes people say, late 40s to 60, not even over 60. But theater, you can kind of get away with a little bit more. Camera,
Yeah.
But I just worked too hard for it. And my Screen Actors Guild, I interviewed with 2 agents here, and both of them told me that they weren't interested because they didn't have enough work for Screen Actors Guild. And they said they didn't hire Screen Actors. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I don't know if they're probably not even listening. I don't really even care if they do, because what I was told was I did the commercials, right? I spent my time. They sent me sides. I did my self-tapes. I spent a lot of time memorizing them. I gave them 2 different reads on 2 different copies, did it exactly how they wanted it, shot it to them. I had to wait for the interview, did the interview, and then I was told I had to wait. And then I had the interview with them, and then the next day was told, we don't have anything for you in this market. And I was like, really? My type, really? And I was told that they didn't hire anyone that was Screen Actors Guild. And in the interview, I had said, your website's great. I really like it. And I had gotten new pictures taken from a really great person who I'll mention again at the end. I'll just say her now, Kelly Weaver Photography. She's not inexpensive, but she branded me, which is how I wanted to do. And so if you look at the website the picture that she took is perfect for the podcast, and then for my director shot, and then for my acting shot. So she did a branding kind of campaign for me. They literally told me the reason they didn't take me on is because they didn't hire Screen Actors Guild people. And I looked and I said, well, and I actually kind of called them on it. I said, well, the reason I went to you is because I saw that you did have Screen Actor Guild people on your website. And so they didn't respond to that. I didn't expect them to, but I thought they even said, did you look at the website? And I said, of course I did. I loved it. It's new. And, I'm not going to go to somebody that I'm not going to look at. And I studied it. Sure. And so it was a little odd. Know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly true that Denver is not a on-camera mecca. There's, film and TV happens here rarely. We need some tax incentives to get filmmakers to come here.
And you're
real
not
bad.
And you're not a right to work state. See, Virginia is. So Screen Actors Guild, we could take the work and it didn't matter. It was a right to work state. So it wasn't going to get dinged for it. Right. But I know that they do have some work out. Now, your website is fantastic. And I know that you are CandaceJoice.com, and you have a lot of different tabs. So if anybody's looking for voiceover actor, narrator, directors, you've got a beautiful website. And, but yeah, I mean, you have some amazing commercials on there. They're terrific.
Oh, thank you. Well, and those were from before I was SAG.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, now that I've joined, when I joined the union, my work on camera has significantly dried up. I get very minimal. I mean, I could count them on two hands how many auditions I get through my Denver agent that are union available, just because Denver does not have the market for it. So
Fine.
I'm in the union primarily because of my work because of my work as an audiobook narrator, even though it has meant that working on camera dried up for me in Denver as a result.
I want to go back to that multi-hyphenate thing, and that you found kind of something that could sustain you and get you away from the desk job, right?
Sure.
So that is something that is now you're in a little room, I would imagine. Are you in a closet? How did you convert this? Because there are a lot of people who might be interested in knowing what you're doing, and you can make very good money doing audiobooks, and you can kind of do them if you're traveling. If you don't want to be stuck in Denver, you can go to different places. Yeah, so you can take it with you. Can have computer will travel, headset, microphone, or do you think you have to just do it where you are right now?
Well, so yeah, I built myself a booth. I'm not in a closet. When I first started, I was in a closet, but I created a booth for myself. And so that's where I work most days. But yes, absolutely. The joy of audiobook narration is that you can take it with you when you travel away from Denver. And I brought my gear with me so that at the very least, even though I was too busy with those contracts to perform any books, I was doing auditions while I was away. And so, yeah, it's a job that you can pick up and take away with
Let
you.
me ask you another question leading into that then. So how do you get those audiobooks? Do you kind of self promote? Do you have an agent that gets you those, or how do you get that work?
It's interesting. The audiobook industry does not work with agents. There might be a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage. By and large, the most of it is about hustling for the work yourself. So I have a spreadsheet of, I don't know how many contacts I have on it now, maybe 80 different casting directors and producers at the big five publishers, all the way down to tiny niche houses that I contact regularly to seek work. So
Wow.
it's hustle, hustle, hustle.
Wow. So it, like when I was in New York, pounding the pavement literally was pounding the pavement. You're doing digitally. You're probably calling, you're probably emailing, you're probably doing some things like that. But where I was actually taking physical resumes to didn't matter what the weather was in New York City,
Yeah.
but you actually still have to be self-advocating, right?
Yes.
To get the work.
Absolutely. I've met with a number of friends, actor friends, who have been like, "Oh, I like this audiobook thing that you're doing," and we'll sit down to have coffee, and I'll tell them about it, and a number of them, that's the end of the road for them, and those are all like no, nothing bad against anyone who doesn't want to go after it. Like it's I'm very glad that I did it, but man, it took a while to really get going, and I still feel like I have so far to go to break in with publishers that I would really like to break in with.
Well, I have no doubt that if anybody could, you will. You do. You have to be self-advocating. You have to be someone who pounds the pavement, literally, just get your name out there, get your face out there. And there are different ways of doing it. And I mean, even at 60, this year will be 62. I literally have no problem saying my age. I know there's certain people that absolutely won't. I saw an interview with Dolly Parton last night, and she said it. And I was like, "Atta girl, say it," because
Dolly.
Yeah, yay, Dolly. But at a certain point, you kind of go, it's a privilege to be healthy and to be able to get older. And I always think, from the page to the stage, but then, age. And I think when you bring age to the stage, you really have something worth watching. And bless his heart, rest in peace. I just saw that
James Earl Jones.
Jones. And what they did, they talked about the TV and the film, right? Right. Star Wars and Darth Vader. And I thought, when are they going to talk about Great White Hope? When are they going to talk about what he really did? When are they going to talk about the theater? But theater is always the last, right? People know you from your commercial work, your TV work. You can be on stage on a film for 2 seconds. And then that's what they remember, and not so. But he was so wonderful, and I didn't see what he actually passed away from. You know, these people don't seem old to me, but they are. So you also, I want to talk about, you talk about these audiobooks and going after it. And I do think that you have to be organized. You have to be good at the business aspect of this career. And you have to be good at that, but you have to be good at the business aspect. And that's something that has never changed. It has never, ever, ever changed. And so you're good at the business part. But I want to talk about something that's very exciting that you have coming up in October. Tell everybody what you got coming up in October.
Yes, I am very excited to share that. And actually, I haven't shared this anywhere. I haven't shared it yet on my social or my website. So, I'm delighted to share that in this summer, I narrated a book called The Secret War of Julia Child by Diana R. Chambers. It comes out in, it's a simultaneous release. So her book comes out and the audiobook comes out together October 22nd. And it is such a beautiful historical fiction account of Julia Child before the world knew her as the Julia Child, before she was married to Paul Child, and when she was still finding herself. The book takes place during World War II, when Julia Child was actually a member of the precursor to the CIA, and her work included travel to India and China. And so the book explores what that must have been like. And it was a fabulous opportunity and challenge for me to voice someone that everyone probably has an instant recognition in their minds of what that voice, that iconic Julia Child voice, sounds like. Plus, dozens of other characters from all over the world.
Right.
And it was just, and it's beautifully written. Diana R. Chambers gave us a lovely book. I'm so thrilled for her. I was so honored to narrate it. I can't wait for it to come out and people to get to experience the book.
So exciting. What I'll do is, I like to always put a picture up of when the podcast airs. But what I'll do is around October 22nd, I'll put a picture of the cover of the book and then the link to the audio book and where people can purchase it. I'm sure they want to purchase it, and where it will be. But I guess the precursor to the CIA was the OSS.
The OSS, that's right.
Oh, look at that.
Look at you.
I know. I won't say that I just looked it up.
Oh.
No. It was the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services.
Yes.
See, I am 62 years old, so I do have a little bit of an idea of what that is. But anyway, you think about Julia Child, the voice is what comes up. So it's in third person, right? So you read the book, but then you have to snap into her voice, right?
Yes.
Can we hear a little snippet?
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
I need text.
Shall I just pull up a sentence? Shall I just pull up a sentence from the internet and just say, all right, let me pull up a sentence.
Well, let me see. I have the book in front of me.
Just one sentence.
Yeah.
Or you could just, I think of there was the TV show. You didn't watch the TV show. That was the one.
I didn't watch this TV show. I did a ton of research before starting, and watched a lot of her cooking show. Although she was 20 years older by that point than the age she would have been when I was voicing her, which was in her early 30s.
About the movie with Amy Adams and Meryl Streep. Did you watch that?
I did watch that in particular because Meryl Streep, and also because then she was playing that character closer to the age that I would be playing her in the book. And so I was interested to see how she did a younger Julia Child. So yeah, let's see. I'm
going to pour a little more wine. This wonderful Riesling here, this 2022. It is so good. I just wish I had, next week, when I do, actually, it's not going to be next week because I'm going to be in Greece. I'm going to be in Athens. It's like just a little bit past Athens, in a little fishing village on a yoga retreat with some women. And then I'm going to meet my husband. We're going to have been married for 22 years, and he's going to meet me in Athens. He's going to fly after the game. He's got to be here for that homecoming. He's going to fly to Athens, and I'm going to meet him there as a little rendezvous. So we're going to be there. Yep. So there. So anyway, could you find a sentence?
Yeah, here we go. Here's one where she's talking about her drive to do more than just be behind the scenes in this war. So she says, "I want to help win it. I know I'm capable of more than filing papers."
I hate it when people do that to me. I hate it. I hate it. But you know what? It's fabulous, and we will get the book, and I will promote it. And I'm so glad. Thank you so much for letting this be how you're telling people that you did this. And I just think it's fantastic that you promote yourself and that you're out there getting it. And like, what is a production house or people that so what's a company that you would like to really be out there doing these audiobooks for? So if they're out there listening, who's somebody?
Well, I haven't worked for the Big Five yet. The Big Five publishers, which include houses like Penguin Random House, Harper, Hachette, Simon and Schuster. Why can't I think of the fifth one? Probably because I'm on Macmillan.
Macmillan.
Yeah, so I would love to work for one of the Big Five.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you want to work for one of the big five, then what do you do? So like this book will come out. Can you send them a little snippet? Do you like research? Who do you contact? Is it the casting person? Do you call them and go, I've got a little snippet. I want to do an audiobook for you. Who do I contact? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm very proud of this book. I'm very excited to share the content once I have it, with the casting directors and producers at all at these places. And so I have folks that I've been trying to build relationships with already at all of these houses, that I will reach out to and share a snippet of the content. And if I were to be so fortunate as to get, a review or something like that, I would share that as well. The important thing is that I have learned about making connections in the audiobook world is that it can't be just from these kind of cold call emails. And I have taken a lot of pleasure in actually joining workshops, sometimes that put you in front of a casting director and you definitely have to come to it with this headspace of, I am here to learn. I'm going to take a risk and try something unique or challenging to myself and make this about honing my craft. And if this person likes me and we connect, and maybe I get an audition with them, that's a bonus. But that has been a way to get a little bit of FaceTime directors and producers.
I think you said I think audiobooks work kind of like casting and kind of like you and I are in the same place, right? So, and anybody that's out there in the business, unless I was in Richmond, so I would get people calling me. Like I did a show that you just directed. I did Good People, and I was Cadence Theater came to me. Anna Johnson, who I love, she's very good friend. She went to school with David Lindsay Abaire. So she came to me and said, I want you to play Moggy. He came and saw the show. It was amazing. So you build relationships, right? And when you don't have those relationships, here I am, I'm transported, right? I'm here, I'm in Richmond. We moved back here because my husband went to CU. My daughter's a senior at CU. So all of a sudden, they're really happy here. Boom. Here's Dawn, transplanted here into a brand new place at an older age. And it's hard to be in a new place with new people. But I'm also I texted you last night when you weren't getting my text because the theater wasn't liking my messages. It is also really fun meeting new people like John Hauser, who I don't know if you know John, who works.
Yeah.
He's in School of Rock right now. He's got the lead at Miners Alley. I absolutely adore him. Adam Schroeder. They're just certain people who kind of like just go, it just kind of hits you in the gut and you go, oh, I just adore these people. And I don't know if it's that I'm a mother. I don't know if it's that I'm just getting older. But that I do just certain people that just, you go, oh, I just adore these people who just seem like just good people. And there are a lot of them in the theater, but there are a lot of them that really aren't. And I just love Adam, and I just wish John is such a sweetheart, and you're such a sweetheart. You just kind of get a feeling from people. Do you get the feeling from people sometimes?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's that way in any industry or any line of work, right? You got to find your people, the people that make you feel seen.
My best friend in Richmond, Virginia, was a woman who was a playwright, and she was 40 years my senior, which I think I am almost that for you. And
No.
she was a playwright. She was a playwright in Richmond, and she lifted me up. My father was my biggest fan, right? But there was an age difference in the fact that she was not my mother. My mother died when she was 57 of ovarian cancer. And so I lost my mother very young. My friend Martha was not a mother figure. She was not maternal. She was bawdy. She drank scotch. She cussed like a sailor. She knew every dirty limerick, but she was the hit of the party. So I would go to a theater party, and if I didn't take Martha, people would go, "Where's Martha?" So I finally just said to her, "I'm picking you up at the nursing home because if I go to the party, I show up and you're not there." She had stories. She met James Earl Jones. She knew him when he was in The Great White Hope. She had stories. I actually have, you can't see my office, but I have an actual program that he signed from where he was her best friend was in The Great White Hope. And she had a little minor role, right? I have a program, the original program from when he was in it.
Special.
Yeah, very, very special. So, you just go, maybe it's I'm a mom, maybe it's just that I like these younger people, but I'm enjoying meeting people, right? New people. So here's the other thing I want to ask. How do you embrace this process, this career? When you get cast in a movie and you're reading for something that you would be great in, like The Little Women, and you probably would have gotten pre-cast maybe. Tell people what happened to you that you told me in the pre-chat.
Oh, it's a tale as old as time.
And get easier.
That's true. That's true. It doesn't. So let's see. I auditioned for a SAG film at the end of 2023. And after some callbacks and what have you, I was offered the female lead. And I want to say it was maybe March when that happened. Yeah, March of this year. But the shoot was scheduled for autumn. And so, that was a pretty fabulous, exciting project to be like, okay, 5 weeks of SAG work that would, combined with my audiobook work, position me to hit my threshold to get insurance. And a great project that would be different than anything that I've done. And so I'm always about pushing myself and exploring something new. So that sounded great. And then it fell apart. I got an email. Both I and the male lead, we got an email that we were released. And it was as simple as that. It was just an email. And here's an NDA. Please sign it. And that's it. That's it. And like losing the film was one thing. Like all, that financial loss that was a bummer because it was going to pay for a lot of months of work as well as the insurance thing. But then also the thing that I found more devastating about it was the many callbacks for shows happening here in Colorado that I turned down to even just
stage work.
Stage work, because I was already committed to this film that was gonna happen like in the middle of, I couldn't do an early fall show, I couldn't do a late fall show because of where the schedule landed. It just took me out of the running for all of that. Yeah, it's a
and
bummer.
They cast shows around here. How early do they cast shows in Denver?
You
Like,
know, the Denver casting cycle tends to start every April.
okay,
That a lot of the big theaters will, not all of them, but a lot of them will do a season audition, and then they will follow that up with individual show auditions in the months following May, June, and into July, and then be cast for the next year often.
right,
And in part, I think they do that because they know other theaters are doing it. So if we want access to the talent, we need to get a early start.
right, exactly. Yeah, I found that last year I had already missed all of that. So I thought, well, I'm not going to miss it this year. And I I didn't even know, I couldn't even figure out how to do it here. Like I was like, I normally it's not that hard, but Zaya Lorraine, I think it's Zaya Lorraine. Let me look up Facebook because I want to say her name right. I called DCPA and I landed on somebody as sweet as you. And she gave me time. She works there part-time. And I think I'm saying her name correctly. I want to look it up because I adore her. It's ZEAH, Zaya Lorraine. She gets cast all the time. And if I'm not saying it right, she can hit me the next time I see her. But she gave me all the information that I needed. She gets cast all the time. But she gave me like, and I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm not gonna say how much time she gave me, but she gave me a lot of time that I didn't serve. But I went and saw her in a couple of shows, and she's got the goods.
Mm.
She is a musical theater actress. She could have had the lead. She was in the chorus, but she was amazing. And it just is. She said, "This is when you need to be looking out for these DCPA. It's going to be in March, but you have to be looking out in February. And the day they do that, you got to be on the computer, and you got to get you got to have your digital, format ready to go, and all that. So it's an interesting thing. Now, I didn't get any callbacks. I had to like kind of really go at it to try to get the callbacks because I was new. And again, I think I'm equity. And my husband's like, look, if you can get non-equity and it's somebody that you know and you've used before, why would they use you? Why would they use you, Dawn, when they know they've got somebody that's non-equity and they're good? I don't care how old you are. And there is something to that. I mean, there's truth to that. So it is what it is. I'm enjoying just being here and seeing all the wonderful talent, like I said. So embracing the process, we've talked to you about, and then multi-hyphenate, something to do. I want to do something with you that I have not done with anybody else.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to pour some more wine because I have not done this yet. All right, so I'm going to do this. I want to just kind of do like a rapid fire question thing about theater.
Okay.
And I actually, I always do like not just a pre-chat, like a week or two before, about taboo topics to things to talk about, to then a little check, let's check the sound. And at that sound check tonight, I said, I had a thought. My daughter, who's younger, she said, Mom, you should do this. And I went, that's a great idea. I'll try it with Candace. So kind of like stream of conscious, I'm going to ask you a question. Don't think about it. Stephen Colbert does this. He is like, what's your favorite sandwich? So, he'll do, have you ever seen him do that?
I haven't, no.
Oh my God, it's so funny. He'll go, okay, important questions, people. Important questions. We got to do that. But these are, and I'm going to throw in like random stupid questions, but a lot of these are about theater. If there's something that you answer, and I'm going to tell everybody this now, if something that you answer that you go, I don't want this to air, I will edit it.
Okay. Ooh, you must be planning some heavy questions.
No, I'm not. But Cindy says there's something that's kind of like, I don't know, there's another gal who does rapid fire questions and she doesn't edit a thing. But I did last week. Troy was on and there was something about Spider-Man. I don't know if you remember that whole deal. And he was talking about the stuntman and something that they had said. And I went, it's not running anymore. Why can't I air this? And oh, you need to kind of be more like, on the edge. Like, if people say they don't want it aired, I'm not going to air it. Do you want to take a sip of your pumpkin spice?
Okay.
I'm sipping my wine. Thank you, Book Cliff. Okay, here we go. All right, rapid fire.
Okay.
Breath. Why did you get into acting, Candace?
Love of storytelling.
2, what is your favorite thing to eat before a show?
Oh, Okay, rapid fire. Uh, Popcorn, I guess.
What is your favorite thing to eat or drink after a show?
Oh, a bowl of cereal.
Fabulous. A certain specific cereal?
I mean, often it's Cheerios or like rice chucks.
And do we do it with oat milk or regular milk?
Regular, actually, yeah, I am a whole milk girl.
Well, you're from Colorado, so that no, is the reason. Do you add any fruit to it or just that?
Just that after a show, comfort,
Okay, very
easy,
good.
bland.
That's good. I used to do a bologna sandwich on white bread with Miracle Whip and cheese.
Nice.
Right. Do you have a pre-show ritual? This is an actress, not as a director.
Yeah, most shows I still run the lines on the way to the theater in the car. I have a line app, and most shows I want to just make sure they're fresh that way. Um, and then I also have discovered, actually from working with another director, that finding a song that helps me connect to the character, I will listen to that.
I take a shower before I go to the theater. I wash Dawn off basically, and then
Nice.
yeah, and then I go with no makeup, no hair, no nothing. And I also did this warm up, and we did like a after a show chat. I think after Good People, and Sydney was really young, and she asked a question like, "Why do you make that weird sound in the shower?" And it was like I was doing like warm up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell people that I do that. Okay, next question. You ready?
Sure.
What's your favorite memory of being in the industry?
Oh, my favorite memory. This is supposed to be rapid fire and I'm failing that. I did a production. I don't know if this is my favorite, but it's one that comes to mind, so I'm just going to share it. I did a production of Pericles in Indiana. And that was a fun show because most of us played lots of different roles. And one of the roles that I played was the bawd. And the bawd is like the brothel owner. And normally, like, I would not be cast as the bawd. I was so delighted to get to do that. And an audience member came up to me afterwards and said, oh no, I'm missing the punchline. Who I reminded him of, and it was so flattering.
Heracles, you were the bawd. You're not normally the bawd. Someone in the audience came up to you and said they reminded you of someone.
Oh my God, I can't think of her name.
Was it a slut? Was it an actress on TV?
No, a comedian from like the 60s, this comedian
from the 60s
with a like variety show.
Wait a minute, was it from Laugh-In?
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
No, it's not.
Story.
No, it's not.
Because I suddenly can't think of her
If it was from Laugh-In, was it Goldie Hawn?
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay, it's okay. If it was from the 60s, it was probably Laugh-In. It's before your time. So
yes.
Was it like Ruth Buzzy, Goldie Hawn? It wasn't like Lily Tomlin. It wasn't Lily Tomlin, was it?
I don't think I'm gonna get there.
It's okay. You know what? We can look at. You know what? We'll look it up and later on, and at the end, I'll say the person she was thinking of was this. It doesn't matter. Somebody gave you a really good compliment, and you don't normally play the slut. So that was the cool thing.
Yeah. And she wasn't a slut. I played her very differently than you would expect. And that's part of what was so delightful about getting to do it. It wasn't just like and usually the brothel owner isn't the slutty one anyway. She's the madam.
Well, yeah.
But I blame the pumpkin beer and the fact that
it's cracking me up. If you want me to cut this, I can.
Oh, I got it. Carol Burnett. It was Carol Burnett.
My God, you know what? I can see that.
It was a lovely compliment, and I was so delighted that he was so delighted, and it was fun.
Yeah, no, she's not a slutty. She's not a slutty type of actor.
Yeah, that's not how I played her.
Okay, so that was your favorite memory? Is that someone
it's really not my favorite. It's just the one that came to mind. Like,
to be told,
I'm not good at this rapid fire thing.
I know. I'm sorry. It's okay.
No, it's fun. Keep going. I like it.
Okay, so here we go. So that was your favorite. What's your least favorite memory of being in the industry? We probably just talked about it, but
no. We haven't. Let's see. My least favorite. Okay. I mean, This is more general than a specific example, but I think my least favorite thing about being in the industry is sometimes we get one shot with somebody who will decide for themselves, I've seen you, that's it. Now my impression of you is that. And it could be that you did an audition for them and they've just decided that's it. That's what you can do. Or I didn't like that. Or it could be a more personal encounter of meeting them in the hallway and just the feeling that you're done in their mind. And that's such a shame because I believe that part of being a human is always getting better at being a human, hopefully. And also getting better at your craft. I am such a better actor now than I was a year ago, than I was 5 years ago, than I was 10 years ago, because you get better at your craft if you're really working at it.
Age on the stage.
Right. And sometimes it feels like people who saw the actor that I was 5 years ago have determined that I am still that person, or the human that I was 5 years ago. And I think I was a good human 5 years ago, but
I can't imagine that you were ever not a good human, that you were ever a bad human. You
thank you.
of goodness. Like I said, I gravitate towards, I feel certain things from certain people. But anyway, so yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that's, and we'll talk about
and
that.
I will just say I'm so grateful for the people who are on the flip side of that, who celebrate the gains, who are like, wow, I see who you are now, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you, and we're all constantly leveling up. So it's both.
And you have to kind of be in the same city for that to be the thing, right?
That's true.
We talked about, like we talked in the pre-chat about, maybe I should really be in New York, or maybe I should be in LA. And I'm like, you might find that you don't work as much. You've got this idea of being in LA or New York, but people know you here, right? So you're a reader and you're doing a great job. And then you also get, to do this, you get to do that. People are pulling you, you get to go direct, right? And where did you direct Good People? What was the name of the city?
In Ouray, Colorado, with Upstart Theater.
Right, Upstart Theater. And how do you spell Ouray?
Ouray.
Right. Okay, and I didn't know how to pronounce it. I'm like, okay, you're right. But anyway, so you don't have to. And if you ever want to listen to Michael Mastro, season 1, episode 2, Michael Mastro talks about that. You do not have to be in New York. You do not have to be in LA to do some of the best work. And I know there's Rodney. I think we talked about Rodney, who's at Utah Shakes right now. There are a lot of people who do Colorado Shakes, so they go to Utah Shakes. Some of those pictures from those costumes last night, Taming of the Shrew, unbelievable.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in New York, but Utah Shakes has got like this huge following, right? The Shaw Festival, right? So and we're closer to that than being on the East Coast. So yeah, okay. So that was rapid fire. At least
we're done.
I agree with you. Okay. With no name, who is your least favorite person to work with in the industry and why? Or what is your least favorite type of person?
My least favorite type of person to work with in the industry?
Or you can think of a person and not name them.
Yeah. I mean, the people, I'll answer it this way. My favorite type of person to work with is the person who brings the energy into the room of the best idea wins. And it doesn't matter who it came from. Right. Let's find the best idea to tell the story and not have an ego about who the idea came from. And instead, theater is beautiful because it is collaborative. It fuses so many different art forms into one thing to make this magical experience. And so I guess my least favorite person to work with in the room is the one who is threatened by the idea needing to only generate from themselves or from a certain echelon of person.
Right. Or insecure that they would need to take the accolade as opposed to give it to the other person if they came up with that idea. It's okay. You cannot do theater without it being a collaborative effort. It's like someone asked me, I interviewed for a directing job that of course I did not get here. It was a community theater here in town. And they asked me, well, how would you do this show? And I'm like, but I just said, well, I can't really say because as a director, it's really important for me to get the design staff involved.
Mm.
And I have to come, and I know the Henry Awards, right? That's a whole nother deal. And I know on their rubric, they don't have under director's concept. And I don't understand how you can really judge a director without having director's concept. Now they have other different things without having that, but you can't come up with a director has a concept. I think they've got a huge arch, right? The director kind of has these hands. You see the hands on the globe all the time, that image. But I think that directors do that with the design team, but you have to be open. She's drinking the rest of her. But I think that directors have to kind of keep that. Actors need to know that the directors are there to hold them and grab them if something falls, but you can't come up with a director's concept without talking to the design team and to the producer and know, really, it's everybody's game. It's not just one person's idea. It's everybody's idea.
Yeah. There's so much beautiful opportunity that can come from creating a space where it is safe for people to bring their best selves to it and to feel like they are valued. And the best rooms that I have been in, whether as an actor or a director, are the rooms where that energy is present, that people feel safe to try and fail, that people feel safe to share their idea and to be acknowledged for it. And we're going to do this thing, and it was not the director's idea, it was your idea. And when I direct, my favorite thing to do is to empower people to figure out what makes them tick and to be like, great, go for it, shine. And yes, absolutely, that means that as the director, you're working with a very talented design staff to come together and create this beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think that, you said the director's concept. I keep going. I don't get how we're supposed to do this without director's concept. But anyway, if someone were to ask you right now, Candace, why are you in the industry? What would you tell them?
I would say that I am still like that little girl with a book who just can't get enough story, and who firmly believes that story is a pathway towards so much good in the world, to deeper empathy, to healing, to connection, to self-understanding. I am a better person and always striving to be a better person because of story. Truly, I think it has helped me to understand the world and the people around me better. And so I just think there's so much value in it. I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of participating in it.
And that would be what you would tell them if
I think so.
You want to tell the story. Over the years, what have you gained from being an actress, and what have you gained from being a director?
What have I gained? I've gained community, connection with other artists, for sure. That I have gained experiences, getting to travel to make theater and meet new people and experience new things, new food, new geography. I have gained opportunities to test and push myself. I've gained a lot of heartache and tears and, loss and disappointment too. That's certainly part of it. But I will say that being an actor doesn't bring you fortune, and it certainly doesn't bring you fame for the most of us. But I feel much more alive in myself than when I was working an office job.
Yeah,
it is very valuable.
Right. Very, very good. And my last question, I'm going to bring us back. I'm going to wrap us around. I usually try to do this for about an hour. And I know this is your one night off. You get in the theater, people who are listening that are in the, in high school or college or whatever, if you're working equity or LORT, you get one night off. And Candace has given me her one night off to do laundry, to go to the grocery store, to get some rest, to play with your dog, to go get some exercise, to do whatever, get some rest. And so she's given me an hour and 14 minutes at this point. This is without the edit, if we have to go back and edit something out. But anyway, so I don't know if anybody just heard that, but my husband just got home and now he's let the dogs out and I've got recording, do not enter. If you were not in the business, Candace, what do you think you would be doing now if you had not been so inclined?
I think that it would be something to do with writing. And I'm not exactly sure what form, whether that would be a novelist or a journalist or like a political speechwriter. Maybe that's just the person in me who loves West Wing. I could never get over Josh.
Oh, that's funny.
Rob Lowe's character was.
You're showing your age now. I will say.
Yes, there you go.
I thought you were 28. But, I thought you were showing that you were younger, but you're not 28 if you're talking about West Wing.
No. Nope. Yeah, so I love to write, and still sometimes think that at some point I will do that, but there's just no time.
Right.
When you're hustling for all the other things in the multi-hyphenate life, I haven't found time to sit and write. But yeah, I think something of writing.
You probably like writing director's notes, then you probably get like the best of both worlds. You get to write your director's notes, or if you do character study, like, you answer the 5 questions, right? I love writing those. Okay, my dog is like driving me nuts. Hang on one second. I'm gonna have to.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Benny. There's my little terrier. There's my little Benny. He's my little wire-haired fox. Come here, Benny. Come here.
Oh, he's beautiful.
He's a precious little dog. Come here. Say hi to Candace. Maybe she'll love you. You look like a little. There's
Hi, baby.
I'll post.
Oh, you are beautiful.
He's like, he can't stand to be away from mama.
Oh, you are so sweet. I just want to boop that nose.
I know, he looks like a little stuffed animal, doesn't he? He's so cute.
Yeah, he does. Oh my gosh, what a fun.
So every guest gets to pick one of these wonderful Bookcliff Vineyard wines, and you chose which one?
It was the Malbec.
Yes, and I will tell you that as I drank my last little sip of this, the one you chose, and I think I wrote this to you, it's like their big award-winning one. You picked the number one. It's they actually, you picked it's Texum, Texom. Texum. It's a Texum, a platinum award winner, and I didn't know what that meant. I had to look that up. And this wine that you picked has won multiple times. So you did good. And they are either going to send it to you or I will give it to you when I see you next, because I hope I see you soon. And if you are local, don't forget, you can visit Bookcliff's website at www.bookcliffvineyards.com, and they can ship it directly to your home if you are out of the state. And if you are local, they also have wine club benefits. You can be a Valley tier, a Ridge tier, you can be a Summit tier, right? That's the top. That's invite only. I'm not that even yet. Maybe next year, or a subscription club. But it's definitely their wines are wonderful and they are something worth sharing. And Candace, I cannot thank you enough for giving me some of your time tonight, and on your night off. And I hope that HAMLET just does really, really well. And this is actually, I had a feeling this was going to be one of my favorite interviews ever. Your honesty and what you said and just everything that you brought to it. So I'm not kidding. I shoot from the hip, and what I say is what I say and what I mean is what I mean. So I hope you know that and you can feel that.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it was such a delight to be asked, and such a delight to get to. I'm so glad that I was the reader that night that you had the call back, because it was nice to get to share that moment of storytelling together. And I'm sure there will come a time when we can do it in a more extended format. Yeah, this was just lovely. Thank you for inviting me.
It really was. And I was not the only person that night that was very happy that you were the reader. So, Boulder Ensemble Theater, Mark and Jessica, thank you so much for having her as the reader because it made us do a much better job. And I hope that Enemy of the People, I hope that you have a great opening. It's coming up, I think, this weekend or next weekend. And
Yeah.
Little Women comes up, I think, at Christmas. It's a wonderful Christmas show, so we don't want to miss that either. But Hamlet at DCPA, I hope that you have a great opening. Here, I'll be in Greece doing my little, Ashtanga and my little poses. But have a great opening, and thank you so, so much. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, I think that about does it for this week's podcast. I can't thank you enough for listening. Remember, you can always find this episode and others on Facebook under ACT and any of the other podcast platforms. Or visit my website at dawnwestbrook.com, where you'll find the links from previous seasons and episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and other entertainment enthusiasts. If you have questions or suggestions, I'm as close as an email. I welcome your ideas. And remember, follow ACT on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, under Acting Pod. But for now, as W.C. Fields once said, a man's gotta believe in something. So, my noble artist and my happy troop of theater trolls, I do believe I shall have another drink. May the footlights burn bright and your interactions, both on stage and off, be rewarding. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dawn Westbrook, your host, and this is ACT. This season's podcasts are being brought to you by the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund and Bookcliff Vineyards, where their wines are always something worth sharing.